Hello and welcome to the Two Guys One Roto Show. Alongside my tag team partner, Rich Sayre, I'm David Whitcomb. Hello, Rich.
Hey, hello, Dave.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm out here in Denver, Colorado. Beautiful weather. Trying to find the baseball team. Haven't found it, but that's a story for a different day.
There's some sort of joke in here about finding the Colorado Rockies is a dick move because of Manafort. But anyway, that's terrible. I shouldn't have said it. Anyway, so today what we're doing, folks, is we're doing our first redraft show. Most of our shows have been centered around either prospects or, kind of dynasty, keeper league centric, whatever. Today's show is our first ever redraft. It's kind of a fun premise that we came up with or format or whatever. What we're doing is Rich has selected 4 head-to-head matchups, and so have I. 2 guys at the same position, so whatever, Barry Bonds versus Jose Canseco or whatever. That's a terrible example, but we don't know what each other's matchups are. It's kind of we're going to reveal behind curtain number 1. Rich is going to tell me, okay, Dave, you got these 2 players, pick one for the rest of the season for redraft. Who are you picking? And I got to kind of do my analysis on the fly. Fair warning, I use a really loud keyboard, so you might hear me tapping away at it when I look up these guys on Fangraphs. Shout out to Fangraphs. But anyway, that's the premise of the show. Rich, anything to add?
I like that we're branching out into ASMR, so more audience. You can play along at home if you like. Tell us in the comments why we chose correctly or why we chose poorly. But I'm excited. Yeah, they say, the saying is, F it, we'll do it live. So here we go.
Yeah, like we're like the Beastie Boys, kicking it live. As always, Two Guys One Roto is brought to you by FantasySixPack.net. And be sure to subscribe and like this channel either on YouTube or Apple or Spotify, wherever you're watching or listening to us. As always, I'm going to shout out our Twitter Blue Sky handles. Mine is at DW the Original. And Rich, yours is?
It is at rsayer04.
And rsayer04. Perfect. So without further ado, we are going to jump in. Rich, do you want to challenge me first, or do you want me to challenge you first, sir?
I could jump it off, I think.
Okay.
There they go.
I don't know what that means. Which one are you doing?
I'm going to give you the face-off matchup. First one to go here.
Perfect. Let me pull up my browser here, so I'm ready to go with the old Fangraphs.
All right, there you go. So I'm giving you a showdown between 2 younger, up and coming, but also 100% valuable so far this season, first baseman. Right. I'd like to know who you would want to have rest of season between Tyler Soderstrom and Ben Rice.
Soderstrom, Ben Rice. Okay, go ahead.
I can tee up. We didn't actually talk about this. I can tee you up with some of the stats because I noted those down.
Okay, I did not, so let's not do that.
Okay, there you go.
I would be at a competitive advantage were you to tee me up.
I could ramble on a little bit if you want to start looking.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. I appreciate it. Yeah.
So it's actually, I don't know if our viewers at home, when they heard the matchup, thought that was close or not close. By the numbers, seems pretty close to me. Soderstrom with 9 home runs, 27 ribbies, 26 runs, and 2 steals. And Ben Rice has got 9 home runs, 20 ribbies, 26 runs, and also 2 steals. A little bit advantage on the average so far with Soderstrom, 288 on the season, 349 on base. And Ben Rice, 256, 360 on base. So that's where we're at today.
Okay.
What do we think? Which way do you want to go with that? Now, you are a Yankees fan. I don't want to give any spoilers, but the people can see it with your hat.
Yeah, with the filthy hat. So next time, by the way, I'm just going to say for the next matchup, don't steal all my material before I even have a chance to start talking.
Okay.
You bastard. But no, actually, and I just noticed, I haven't noticed this before as much as I'm on Fangraphs. Their player pages for athletics like Soderstrom's previous 2 years, it says Oak, and now it says F.
Yeah, they went with that.
Kind of interesting, but that doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about. This one's tough. This is pretty darn close to a wash. I would actually say that it largely depends on the format of your league. If you're in a deeper format, I would probably prefer Soderstrom. Simply because he is going to play every day, or pretty close to every day as any player plays these days. Whereas Ben Rice sits against a lot of lefties, and much to my chagrin, is sitting against a righty tonight. And I got yelled at by Yankees Twitter when I asked why is he sitting. They were, they can't play every day. Well, yeah, okay, sit him against the lefties anyway. But yeah, bottom line is they have similar power output, similar. Like you said, ribbies, runs scored, whatever. Ben Rice hits in the top third of the lineup generally, so it explains why he has fewer RBI, although relatively marginally fewer, but whatever. I will say that Soderstrom is not unsustainable or anything, but it is running a 327 BABIP versus a 286 for Ben Rice. So maybe there's a little margin to regress to one another there, so to speak. The only caveat I would give in roto leagues, you're less dependent on the volume. So I might prefer Rice in a roto. And then especially the big thing is that if Rice has been playing, you've been getting the new Yankees, what am I trying to say? The new gambit for the Yankees is to have Ben Rice take over the catcher position in the ninth inning. So if Rice were to pick up catcher eligibility, that's a game changer, right? Yeah. So it depends on your league's rules and whatever. Consult your commissioner for that. But that's whatever. But he's got 3 games behind the dish already. 3 games behind the dish and 3 innings behind the dish. So
efficiency.
So yeah, honestly, I'm gonna say Soderstrom in most formats. And it pains me to say that because I love Ben Rice. Soderstrom is also probably, I have to look, but I'm guessing he's a little younger than Rice is. I didn't know that. 23, whereas Rice is 26. Yeah, that's going to be the clincher for me. Is that Soderstrom probably has a little more room to grow than Rice does, although Rice does hit piss missiles. So yeah, I'm going Soderstrom.
Okay, fair enough.
So yeah. All right, you have anything to add, or you added before I even started talking, so never mind. You don't have anything to add. All right, so I'm going to tee you up with one. You gave me an athletic, so I'm going to give you an athletic. Right. Which good that we're leading off our show with such a popular team. So I'm giving you a catcher matchup, which for those in 2 catcher formats, kind of standard 5x5 roto, or in 2 catcher formats, this is pretty valuable information. For those in 10 or 12 team 1 catcher formats, probably a lot less valuable because what difference does it make? They're all the same guy. My thoughts on fantasy catchers are well known. There's generally, last year, William Contreras was great and everybody else was pretty much the same guy. But anyway, but for this year, rest of season, obviously, we're going either Yainer Diaz or, as the Athletics broadcast affectionately refers to him when he hits a homer, Shea Langeliers.
Ooh, I like Langeliers. Okay. Yeah. I like that. Diaz pretty valuable last year as far as points leagues go. 300 average, pretty close to it last year as well. So you get your roto element in there. Looks like it's a little bit down so far this year for Yainer. Little disappointing season, I would expect if you are a Diaz owner. WRC plus under 100, 0 WAR. Not that matters for fantasy necessarily, but you got 4 home runs, and you got 21 RBIs for Diaz. Langeliers, I think, has been pretty hot of late. It seems like, yep. So really where you're maybe taking the hit is in batting average, although see where Diaz is at this year. He's about the same this year. So for me, I would go Langeliers here. I know Langeliers has a really nice defensive reputation as well. So he's going to be, well, I thought he did anyway. He's got negative value here in the last 3 seasons on defense. But he's got the, oh, no, sorry. I went back too far. That's what happens when we do it live. Yeah, so right around par. But he's got the 8 home runs. He's got the 22 RBIs. I like the way I think the lineup is going to play for the Athletics coming into the summer. I like the way I think we think the home park is going to play coming into the summer.
Yeah.
All the metrics look pretty solid. The BABIP is a little bit low. He is a slower dude. I'm just assuming, don't want to typecast catchers, but might not be out of the ordinary. But I would go Langeliers. I like the power upside there. I like the lineup upside. So I'm going to lock that in as my final answer.
Okay, that works. For whatever it's worth, and home, or those of you listening could probably give a shit about our home league. But I just acquired Yainer in our home league because he's been red hot in May. Hitting 372 in May with a 182 WRC plus. Granted, it's May 13th, so take that with at least a grain of salt, if not an entire shaker of salt. But he does have a reputation or a history of being a good hitter, and he starts at DH also, at least while Jordan's out, especially. So that helps, especially in like volume points leagues, that kind of thing. But yeah, again, pretty close for me. Especially, I think the Astros deteriorating lineup versus the Athletics kind of up and coming lineup, and that Sutter home park is just. I think I do for the weekly hitting article for Fantasy Six Pack every Sunday, and I believe Sutter is playing as the most extreme park in baseball so far this year. I mean, granted, again, it's May 13th, but. What happens when it gets hot in Sacramento? Whatever, every fly ball is going to go out. I don't know. So,
yep.
Anyway, all right.
But what I noticed also, I forgot to fold it into my live analysis, but with Langeliers, he's gone from a 69%, 73%. He's now at 82% contact so far this season. So I like seeing that from a younger guy. He is 27, but once upon a time, that was regarded as maybe when you're going to have your career year.
Right.
And you got the StatCast expected batting average for what it's worth at 281. So, yeah, I'm sticking with Langeliers.
No, I like it. Yeah, I don't have any quarrel with it. I was just saying Yainer. For those of you out there in shallower leagues who might need a catcher, Yainer would be a good target to either trade for or pick up possibly. So, given his slow start, you might be able to get him at a discount. So, anyway, all right. Second challenge. Are we ready?
I think we're ready. Right. Are you ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
All right. We're moving on to third base. I was digging around the third base list, and I thought this was kind of an interesting matchup.
I'm a little frightened by this one because we may have picked the same one, but we'll see.
I don't think so. Okay. I'm wondering whether you would like to ride with Maikel Garcia or whether Junior Caminero is your horse for the rest of the season.
Okay, so it's Caminero. I don't even have to look at anything. I mean, I will, look up some stats and that kind of thing, but just off the cuff, I mean, it's Caminero. Like, give me the guy who's the precocious young talent. Give me the guy who's got, probably future 40, 45 home run pop in his bat. Also, Steinbrenner Field has a decent chance of playing pretty favorably as it heats up. Same kind of thing. Not quite as extreme as Sutter, but same kind of thing. Caminero so far this year, pretty disappointing for those who drafted him, or maybe overdrafted him, frankly, because he did have that monster spring training, and he also
the MVP talk in spring training.
And he also, if you remember, he went crazy in the Dominican Winter League. Yeah. And so, take that for whatever it's worth. But he's walking at a career low rate, but he's also striking out at a career low rate, so that's good. But his BABIP is actually all the way down to 264. So you figure on average he'll pick up 50 or 60 points of BABIP, over the rest of the season. That should regress positively. And I just think that Garcia is fun. Look, I love Maikel Garcia, and I think especially in deep formats, again, kind of like what I was talking about with Soderstrom. Soderstrom is going to have first base and outfield eligibility. Maikel Garcia, presumably, in most leagues already has second base and third base eligibility, and probably isn't that far from picking up outfield eligibility as well. And I will say, I guess I should qualify this with, depending on how important steals are in your league. In a roto league, it actually probably is Maikel Garcia. I should think that through a little bit more. Because he's got 10 bags and he stole 60 bases over the last 2 years. And Garcia is actually striking out at a career low rate and walking at a career high rate, which seems like a good thing to do. Only 25 years old. I'll say, okay, maybe it's Maikel Garcia. No, I'm still going Caminero, especially in, I guess I guess it's like the end of Rocky, right? This is a split decision. So in roto formats or formats that favor steals, like a head-to-head categories that steals are super important or something. I don't know. I probably favor Garcia. In just traditional head-to-head points formats, whatever. Give me Caminero. Give me the guy who can potentially win me the league. So that's kind of a cop-out answer, but that's what I'm going with.
No, it was interesting to me when I was looking through the names, like I said, and I settled on this matchup because I feel like one of my personal maybe weaknesses is I'm a big prospect guy, and I favor the younger guys a lot. And once some guys come up and maybe they haven't accelerated to superstardom, you kind of leave them on the pile. But when I looked at the numbers in this, Caminero has Garcia in home runs, but big advantage Garcia in steals, average, on base, and just points overall in our specific league. So I know points leagues can vary in their scoring systems, but I just thought it was really interesting because I think I went through the same sequence that you did, Dave. I'm like, oh, Caminero is a slam dunk in this, and then you dig into the numbers, and it's like, well,
right. Now Garcia did have, for whatever it's worth, a stretch unlike any other in his career. Obviously, he's only 25 years old, but he where he was like white hot for like about the last month. He was like one of the best hitters in baseball, and then now he's cooled off a bit. I think I saw something where he's only like 2 for his last 22 or something. Again, that's only like 5-6 games, whatever.
Yeah,
but kind of coming back to earth a little bit. I don't know. I think Garcia is definitely an improving young player. And again, in deeper formats, like I said, with the multi-position eligibility, there's something to be said for that, or for steals. But, heavy lean on Caminero in points leagues. Give me the guy who can go out and go on a run, like a Julio Rodriguez type run where he just hits 1 million tanks in 1 month and, and just, carries me through a fantasy playoffs or something like that, so.
Yep.
All right, so you gave me a third base, so I'm going to give you a third base, and I think you know what's coming here because we discussed this, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, just kind of off the cuff before we'd even come up with the premise for this show. But we kind of discussed it a little bit, so you probably know what's coming. So we've got a veteran, veteran-ish. I think he's 27 years old, and Alec Bohm, who is off to an incredibly slow start for the Phillies, but a lot of his underlying numbers say that he's going to rebound. He's still hitting the ball hard and all that. He's just not hitting a lot of. And actually, Saris from The Athletic did a pretty good analysis on he's letting the ball get deeper. So he's about 1.5 inches behind the ball from where he was in his career. And I'm sure all of us would like to have an extra 1.5 inches. Wait. What? Anyway, so there's Alec Bohm, and then that's versus a favorite of both you and me, Addison Barger. Addison Barger is hitting, again, incredible bat speed, hitting the ball hard, and emerging as probably in our opinion, Toronto's full-time third baseman the rest of this year. Formerly ranked as the third best prospect in Toronto's system by Fangraphs in 2023. Kind of fits the mold of what you were just talking about. Prospect who didn't immediately make an impact. Maybe a lot of people wrote him off. So who should they have wrote him off, and which guy do you like better?
So off the cuff, which sounds very strange to say this on a recorded medium, is I have to say in real life, I chose Addison Barger, despite really no practical evidence to do so, whereas Alec Bohm is an established major league player that puts up perfectly reasonable statistics. So I'm looking at him right now. I think, recently you've been in the 15 to 20 home run range. You've been about 100 RBI. I think he's a batting average asset, maybe not so much in on-base leagues. And that's what he's given you. Addison Barger has given you nothing to this point as of this recording. But if you look at his StatCast page, you see a lot of red. You'll see a lot of fun elements. Not just that he hits the ball hard. It seems like he's been making some good swing decisions this year. He's got tremendous bat speed. So I am going to go Barger. I do think it's really a boom or bust type of pick. It really could go either way. I think on the optimistic side of the spectrum, there is some overlap in the overall prospect story, maybe with Ben Rice, who seems to have established himself as a real major league hitter this season. We're certainly not there yet with Barger, but if you look under the hood, there's a lot of similar elements there as far as a prospect that was not super highly regarded on the national scene for various reasons, but had good hitting performance on their resume in the past, had some prospect pedigree in the past. And I just want to see where Barger goes. My big issue with Bohm is not only do I think there's not really a lot of upside, his big issue has always been hitting the ball in the ground, and
it would be fair to say he's a real Bohm or bust pick.
But he'd been making some headway in that, and you'll get different opinions on this from different people. For me, this seems like one of the harder things to change throughout your career. You can make some temporary changes with it. You can make some temporary improvements, but there seems to be some gravity towards batters' natural swings. Bohm seemed to have been making some of that headway 22 into 23, had a nice year last year. 23 was his high water mark, 20 home runs. The launch angle is lower than it's been this year since 2021. So I don't know that, even though he's hitting it harder than ever before, I don't know that he's going to get that launch angle to where it needs to be in season. So that's why I'm not that interested in Bohm for the rest of the season.
Gotcha. So it would be fair to say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this a lot when we're just doing the one-on-one show as opposed to with guests, that you're going to have it your way and pick the Barger King.
I like that one. Yes.
Yeah,
I like the Barger King.
Yeah, the Barger King. No, it's interesting. I tend to agree that I like Barger's upside, and I actually had a conversation with former guest and friend of the show, Thomas Nestico, about this specific topic, not about Bohm versus Barger, but about Barger as he compares to Ben Rice. And he agreed. He's like, I actually hadn't thought of that comp, but that's actually a very interesting comp. Now, a couple things. Barger is a lefty who almost never plays against lefties. So that in, especially head-to-head points leagues does hurt you. Especially check out the weekly hitting article, see how many lefties they're playing that week. And the other thing is, you were talking about Bohm is just not all that exciting. And career high 20 homers, career high of he did drive
RBIs is good, yeah.
Yeah, 97 runs each of the last 2 years. But Barger would kill to have Bohm's last 2 seasons. Like he would love it if that happened, right? But I'm still probably leaning Barger right there with you. I just think there's not a lot of upside in Bohm and plenty of it in Barger. So anyway. So maybe we're wrong, maybe we're right. We'll see. We'll revisit this show later if we were right. If not, then you'll never hear from us again. All right. So we've done 2 apiece. Is that right?
I believe that is correct. Let's check the notes. Yes, sir.
Yep. All right. So just real quick, I do want to mention, jump on over to fantasy6pack.com and become an all-access member. What that comes with is our award-winning rankings, our projections. It's custom league and team advice via our Discord. I actually answered a few questions on the Discord today about, what was it, Ivan Herrera. Somebody asked if they should drop Sean Murphy for Ivan Herrera, and I said, yes, you should absolutely do that. Ivan is looking like, one of the better, maybe top 5 catcher for redraft because in 2 of his 3 games since he came off the IL, he's DH'd. So clearly the Cardinals think a lot of his bat. So if they're going to keep that bat in the lineup, both at catcher and DH, catcher's a tough one, right? Because they only play like 3 or 4 games a week. If you're getting 6 games a week from your catcher, that's a huge advantage.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so you go to fantasy6pack.net/plans, and then you can use the promo code F6P MLB25, and that'll knock 15% off the price. It's already a great value at its regular price, but knocking another 15% off becomes a no-brainer. So again, fantasy6pack.net/plans, and then use promo code F6PMLB25. And you'll get access to everything, not just baseball, but all the other sports as well. Dynasty football stuff is already starting to roll out, which is not my favorite, but that's the conversation for another day.
I like seeing that. You got betting info, you got golf, whatever you want. I think you got over there. So tremendous value.
Absolutely. So, all right. I don't remember. I guess it's your turn to toss one to me. Is that right?
I think so.
Okay. Or we can do it. Whatever. It doesn't really matter, does it? But so I'm sure our audience, how dare you flip the order?
Everyone following along at home. So I've got, we're going to continue moving across the diamond on the infield. I've got a shortstop comparison to you.
All right.
For you. Excuse me.
It's Gabriel Arias for sure. Oh.
I have significantly less interest in talking about Gabriel Arias than you do. So that was not my list.
Okay.
My list is going to be Geraldo Perdomo or Elly De La Cruz.
Perdomo or Elly De La Cruz. Okay, so I follow on Twitter, X, whatever the hell it's called. I follow a disproportionate number of Reds fans. I don't live anywhere. I live in Atlanta. Like I don't live anywhere near Cincinnati. I don't watch the Reds. I don't like the Reds. I mean, they don't dislike the Reds. They're just a team. But I have noticed a ton of Reds fans lamenting Elly hitting the ball on the ground a ton this year. I have not looked into that at all to verify whether that's anecdotal or true. So I'm going to look that up right now. Because that's a big part of the answer. So Elly, he's striking out a career low, not by a lot, but a little bit, striking out a career low. His BABIP is down over previous years. But then let's take a look here. The ground ball rate, the launch angle. Oh my gosh, launch angle was way down. So that would stand to reason that the ground ball rate is out. Yeah. Wow. I can't even believe we're having this conversation. This kind of harkens back to the one you led me off with, the Junior Caminero one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think you have to take Elly based on track record. But I'm not saying that with nearly as much conviction as I would have thought. And especially, I'll tell you this. I wrote the on-base targets article for Fantasy Six Pack in the preseason for those in on-base leagues. And I think Perdomo was my sleeper pick at shortstop because he is a great on-base guy. And sure enough, he's actually walking at a career high rate and getting on base at 394, which is incredible unless you consider it that it's more than 100 points behind Aaron Judge, which is insane. But anyway, the trick with Perdomo is he is going to chip in. He's got 5 dingers and 9 bags so far this year while hitting 293 with that 394 on base. He's a stellar defender. Barring injury, he's going to be in there darn near every day. They did call up Jordan Lawler. So, you could see day of rest maybe once a week for Perdomo going forward. Lawler is going to supposedly play all over the diamond 4 or 5 days a week. Wow, I can't believe I'm even saying this. But yeah, the Perdomo's doing everything right and actually doing, in spite of good speed and whatever, he's only got a 302 BABIP. Not that that's going to rest to the positive a lot, but it could a little bit. So it's possible he's going to even do better than he has been doing. Is this conversation really happening? So I don't know. I guess I'm still going Elly, but not with a lot of conviction. What are your thoughts, bud?
Yeah, this was another interesting one, and I feel like maybe there's a gambit that you can play where you trade De La Cruz for Perdomo and something, and then Perdomo is actually the better player the rest of the season.
Yeah. And you probably can get Perdomo in something good, frankly.
Yeah, good outfielder, good pitcher, maybe. It's just surprising. I don't see. 101 WRC plus last year, league average hitter. He signs the contract extension kind of out of the blue. You're like, what's going on here? And then there's not really any holes in what he's done so far this season.
Yeah.
You look at the stats head to head, and Perdomo's got a big advantage in average, especially on base, as you pointed out. Not getting really hurt that badly in steals, and is right there with the RBIs as well. He's hitting in the top of the Snakes lineup. So another surprising one for me. I'm a De La Cruz guy. So yeah, I feel like you have to say that, but again, I'm trying to retrain maybe my bias against hyped prospects. So that's a little bit of a theme in the guys that I'm throwing out.
Your bias 4, right?
My bias 4.
Right.
I think it might be a little too aggressive.
Yeah, that's an interesting call. That was a good one. That's a fun one. And Perdomo, for what it's worth, you said he's hitting at the top. He's actually, since Ketel Marte has come back, they moved him down to the 9 hole. Which is insane for a guy with a 400 on base. I don't know. But it's also one of those, well, okay, if you want to move him up to the top 3, I mean, who are you moving him ahead of? Like, if you want to have him hit leadoff, you got to move Corbin Carroll or
Great lineup. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
yep. So they're pretty stacked outside of most of their hitters. They have like 4 really good hitters and everybody else kind of stinks. But anyway, but they're doing all right. And we like the Snakes, and we like their chances to make the playoffs this year maybe. And they're a fun kind of spunky team. And Corbin Burns is washed. Anyway, that's another story altogether. All right. So my turn to toss one your way, I believe. I'm going to let you pick. Do you want a hitter or a pitcher matchup? Obviously, you're getting them both, but which one do you want to go this round?
We'll get there. We'll bring a pitcher in. We haven't talked about pitchers.
Okay. Yeah. This one's fun. You just wrote about one of these pitchers, so you're going to have a lot of information right off the top of your head. So it's Paul Skenes. And again, we're doing redraft, folks. So this is not dynasty, although I'm not sure it matters in this case. But anyway, Paul Skenes versus Hunter Brown. Yeah.
So this is another one where your gut reaction is obviously the answer is Paul Skenes. I just wrote an article about trading Paul Skenes before the consensus opinion comes out that he's not a big strikeout guy. Right. I think he's got a little bit of work to do on, which again, this seems very strange to say in a video, his pitch sequencing and what he's working with, because he's having trouble relative to a very good pitcher, putting guys away, striking guys out. He runs a pretty high pitch count pretty consistently this season, has not been striking out the number of batters that you probably expected when you spent a first-round pick on Paul Skenes this year.
Yeah.
So I feel like you have to say at this point in time, Hunter Brown. Yeah. I'm looking at his numbers right now. He's got a 1.48 ERA, which is fantastic, and then it's a 1.86 FIP. So, the peripherals are backing that up.
1.86 FIP? Like nobody. You know what I mean? FIP always tells you that you're going to regress, and he's basically regressing 38 basis points. That means nothing.
His fastball velo is up close to a mile per hour from what he was doing last year. Strikeouts are up, walks are down. This looks like an ace in the making.
Yeah.
You could dig in a little bit further. He's got a nice pitch mix as far as what he's throwing with kind of 4 different pitches primarily, and he'll mix in a cutter even here or there. He doesn't have a swinging strike rate that's that much different from Skenes, but again, it's just putting guys away, and Skenes has been having an issue with that.
Yeah.
The other factor for me is a better lineup. That's relatively speaking. Astros are not a great lineup, but Pirates are terrible.
Right. I mean, they roll out legitimately like 3 or 4 at least not major league quality hitters every single night. And that's conservatively speaking, it might be more than that.
Yeah. It's just like a nasty collection of
Jared Triolo playing first base.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So I would go Hunter Brown. What the point of my article that I wrote earlier in the season is I think you can trade Paul Skenes, you can get a comparable pitcher and something else, and you come out way ahead on that deal, especially in a redraft format. So I love Paul Skenes. I love him, but I'm going to go Hunter Brown.
Yep. So this is I wish I'd done the notes like you did, or like you wish you had told me you were doing notes, because I would like to know. Hunter Brown famously got off to a terrible start last year, and have the game log in front of me, but I think he was something like 0-6 or 0-4 with like a 7 ERA.
April,
something like it was just terrible. And then since then, I would not be surprised at all. I'll do I'll do it, and then when we tweet out this show, I'll for those of you following along, I'll put it in the comments or whatever. I would not be at all surprised to find out that Hunter Brown has been the best pitcher in baseball by Fangraphs WAR since he turned his season around last year. And I got an interesting comp for you. Another player near and dear to your heart, an old former player of yours once upon a time. For Paul Skenes, another guy who was a high draft pick, and he was a second overall pick in the draft, and always kind of teased ace potential, but never really, I don't think he ever won a Cy Young or anything like that, and struck out a fair number of batters, but never put up, well, nobody puts up 300 strikeouts anymore, but, never put up like a huge strikeout season. Paul Skenes maybe compares favorably to Josh Beckett. Josh Beckett's best season was, or at least for fantasy, was 2007. He went 20-7 that year, and then in 200 innings, he struck out. I'm losing my cursor. Hold on. In 200 innings, he struck out. Oh, it helps if you're on the right page. There we go. Sorry, 194 batters. He never struck out 200 in a season.
Yeah.
Now Skenes last year struck out at, what was it, like 54 batters in 36 innings or something like that, whatever it was, so it got off to a great start. But anyway, I don't know. Like, maybe that's a little bit of Skenes, like always, minus the health issues that Beckett had.
Hopefully.
With the pitcher, who knows, right?
But I do like that. That was one of my favorite pitchers back in the day. Living in South Florida, following the Red Sox a little bit after that. Love the vibe that he gave off. I do like that.
Yeah. So, anyway, all right. So, my turn to toss. What is this, last one?
I think we each have one more.
No, it's the last one I'm tossing to you, in other words.
Yep.
Wow, the show's flying by. So, without a guest, we got to ditch the guests. No, I'm kidding. Love you guests. All the guests have been wonderful. So, all right. So, we're going up the middle on this one. We're going to the Keystone. It's my favorite position in baseball, as far as, like, I just love, especially defensive wizards at the position. Neither of these guys is regarded as a defensive wizard at the position. One of them is not even playing the position this year, but he's eligible there, and we're doing for redraft. So you probably figured out who one of them is. So we're doing Jose Altuve, who, probably future Hall of Famer, but having a down year. Jose Altuve versus former top prospect, but hasn't put it all together, Jackson Holliday.
So I immediately would pick Jackson Holliday. That doesn't mean that's the right decision. So let's take a look in a little bit more detail here. We were talking about Jose Altuve a little bit earlier. We co-manage a team. We were looking at acquiring him. I believe we did acquire him for 7 or 8 minutes, and then we flipped him off somewhere else again. Great career. Always, I think, especially coming up, was maybe, I don't know if underappreciated is the right word, but I think he always outperformed kind of maybe what your expectations were for him. Rough year this year. I don't see a whole lot necessarily off in maybe the contact. That looks pretty consistent. Where's my StatCast here? The exit velo is down pretty significantly. So,
Altuve, to your point, Rich, was never, baseball reference for those of you who don't know, archives prospect rankings from Baseball America, MLB Pipeline, and Baseball Prospectus, which are 3 pretty good sources. Not the best one, Keith Law. But shout out to not friend of the show, but we would like him to be friend of the show, Keith Law. But Altuve never made a prospect list. He made the Futures game in 2011, but was never a top 100 prospect. So that's a pretty darn good career he turned into.
And what an amazing career, yeah. So, but right now he's sitting on a 263 average, 375 slug, and StatCast is saying that it should be, both of those numbers should be lower than they are.
Now, what about
so let's take a look at Holliday. Altuve's 35. You don't see it as much as you used to, but you had the kind of dramatic fall off with a lot of second basemen. I think the slide rules have obviously helped mitigate that a little bit.
Yeah.
So Holliday's not, lighting up the world either. Go ahead.
Can I interrupt for 1 second? I'm sorry, just for whatever it's worth. I kind of called this out a little bit in the dynasty rankings that I did in the preseason for Fantasy Six Pack. That Altuve, I thought the shift to the outfield was going to really adversely affect his production. You don't take how old did you say he is? 36?
35, yeah.
Or 35, yeah, and shift him to a new position, just expect it to go seamlessly unless his name's Mookie Betts. Just, I don't know, Altuve just top to bottom is really struggling. He hasn't totally cratered like RIP Marcus Semien. Altuve, to your point, Rich, has been a sub-replacement level player so far this year. So anyway, you're talking about Jackson Holliday, but
yeah, I got to go Holliday. 21, obviously had a rough start to his career last season, but as of right now, he's bumped his contact percentage up from 70% overall last season to 80% this year, which is the highest of his minor league career outside of complex or A-ball. Chasing really low percentage, only 21.5%. It looks to me like he's putting it together. A significantly higher exit velo. He's over 90 miles an hour on average. So I'm going to bet on Holliday for the rest of the season. I'd like to say he's in a much better lineup. It hasn't really played out that way, I don't think, to this point. But you feel like it should be a much better lineup. Hopefully he gets some consistent playing time. I know that was an issue a little bit last year as he would be in and out of the lineup. I think that's been better this year. But yeah, give me Holliday on that one.
Yeah, Holliday strikes me as so this is Rich, that I love narratives. I like making up the story and then see if it comes true. So Holliday, he was obviously a super highly ranked number 1 overall prospect in baseball by some sources, including, I believe, Keith Law. Holliday strikes me as the Orioles are obviously struggling mightily. I did read a fun fact about the Orioles offseason signee Charlie Morton. Tanner Houck. This is I promise I'm gonna get to a point here. Tanner Houck has surrendered 11 earnings in 2 separate outings this year and still has a better ERA than Charlie Morton. So there's that. But so
crazy.
It's unthinkable. But anyway, so I do wonder if we don't get to a point they're still almost strictly platooning Holliday against lefties, which, anytime you can take a foreign number 1 overall pick and put him on the bench for Jorge Mateo, you got to do it. But over the last 14 days, he's hitting 324 with a 908 OPS, just kind of simple stats, whatever, but obviously that's better. I do wonder if the Orioles continue to struggle if Brandon Hyde doesn't get canned, and maybe a mandate comes from the front office that says play Holliday every day. I think I'd take him even in points league, even head-to-head points league. I think just on a weekly basis, even if Holliday is only giving you 4 or 5 games, I think he probably outproduces Altuve in 6. But anyway, I agree. So, tough end to a spectacular career for Jose Altuve, but I see nothing under the hood that says it's going to get better. All right, you're tossing the last one my way. Is that right?
I am. Yes. So here we go. This was fun so far. I got a good one here. Okay. I'm actually going to keep it hitting.
I'm sorry. One more. I have one after you give me this analysis or whatever. I have one that I just want to toss out that's just for both of us to talk about. But go
Cool.
ahead.
Yeah, perfect. That's a good way to end it. So I'm going to take it to the outfield. I want to know who you want to have rest of the season. Aaron Judge or no, I'm just kidding.
I was like, really?
I'm going to say Jackson Chourio
Okay.
or Ronald Acuña Jr.
I have to start today?
Rest of the season.
Yeah. So that would be starting today. A
little bit of a game's disadvantage maybe for Acuña. We don't know exactly how much.
Right. Well, except for the small matter of Ronald Acuña Jr. does get hurt all the damn time. So,
there could be that.
Oh, boy, that's a toughie. So Acuña has had in his career, we know obviously about the 40-70 season that was then upstaged by Shea the following year. But Acuña he's interesting because he's had two outrageously good seasons in his career. In his sophomore campaign, he went 41 with 37 bags and drove in 101 runs and scored 127. Had a 125 WRC plus, was worth 5 wins, and anyway, that's a lot of stuff. He was really good. And then obviously in 2023, he went 41-73, which is like unthinkable with a 171 WRC plus, which again, Aaron Judge is like 50 points better than that. Okay. Anyway, anyway, bottom line is if Acuña is that Acuña, then it's clearly Acuña. But here's the caveat. He has not been that player in all of his other seasons. And he especially has not been that player when returning from injury. So yeah, he did. I would be remiss if I didn't. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's a good point. Yeah, because that's happened a few times. We have that data point.
Yeah, and then I would be remiss if I didn't mention in his first rehab game today in complex ball, where in some league that looks like where my son plays baseball. He did hit a home run in his second or third at bat today, so that's something. But it shows he's at least healthy and swinging the bat and whatever. Chourio is about a precocious young talent as you're going to find in baseball. He's 21 years old. And I believe, if not mistaken, just turned 21. He just turned 21 in March. This guy couldn't drink 63 days ago. Anyway, but he's not walking at all, 2.2% walk rate, at all. He's not walking. But he's only, for a super fast player, he's only running a 291 BABIP. So would stand to reason that some of the batting average and whatever could regress better. But that 279 on base, let's start taking some free passes here and there. And I wonder if maybe he's pressing. I did see a stat today on something, Twitter or watching a baseball game or something. Anyway, whatever it was, that the Milwaukee Brewers have the worst offense in baseball by WRC plus in May. So maybe he's pressing a little bit to try and help the team, and he's 21 years old and kind of not realizing he has to stay within himself, and that's the best way for him to help the team. Wow, this is like shitting all over two really good players. So I'm going to say give me Chourio simply because of the volume. Acuña might be better on a per game basis going forward, or might not. But I would bet on a per game basis, Acuña would be better. But Chourio is going to have, in my estimation, at least a 3-week lead on Acuña. And so especially in roto leagues, right? Where it's categories all year long, it's going to be tough for, I think they have relatively similar production. But then Chourio's getting a head start. So that's tough to make out. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's so the genesis behind this matchup is again a real life one. I was having some trade conversations with my friend Richie Ubeda in our house league.
Friend of the show.
It's it might come down to your risk profile or perspective. I think Acuña at his best could win you a league. Or he could do nothing. He could get hurt again. Could get hurt in the rehab. Right. He's had some strange leg injury. Not strange, but he's had some leg injury issues. So I think Chourio is definitely a safer bet. I hadn't looked into the details on this before we were talking. He's chasing at a really high rate, like 45%. And that can certainly play into what you were talking about. Like, maybe he feels like he's got to do it all. He's got to be the spark, whatever the narrative is. Pressing, I think is the right word. I was looking at his splits from last season as you were talking, and he was 294 on base, 384 slug in the first half, 363 on base, 552 slug in the second half.
Yeah.
He's a young guy. Maybe it takes him a little while to get going. Maybe there's who knows what factors are. He's certainly got the talent. Yeah. So I don't think Chourio is the wrong answer for sure. I definitely think that's a safer answer. He's got, probably as much talent as anybody.
Right.
But I thought it was an interesting kind of thought exercise.
Yeah. So, okay. I have seen some scuttlebutt around the Twitters. He returned from injury recently, which is to say he will be going back on the injured list shortly. So you know who I'm talking about, Rich, personal hater.
I don't want to be a hater, but
yeah, well, I I love being a hater. Royce Lewis.
Oh, we're going to talk about the guy I thought you were going to talk about.
Oh, who do you think I was going to talk about?
I thought this was going to be our weekly Trout conversation.
Oh, no.
Go ahead, Royce Lewis. Okay.
No, I love Mike Trout, so we're not. That's your bag is dumping on Mike Trout. I still love Mike Trout, but no, Royce Lewis versus not like literally any other player in baseball, but versus like anybody you'd realistically roster in fantasy.
Yeah, I'm out on Royce Lewis.
Yep.
6 games, like zeros across the board. Like I don't know, and we're 40 games into the season.
Yep.
I don't know. He went on that run, whether it was last year or the year before, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think it was the first half of last year, and then he got hurt, of course, because
like this guy is the best player in baseball, and it's finally happening, and this and that, and I just not reliable at all. Again, maybe in a roto league you don't mind rostering him because you plug him in if he gets hot for a week or two and the stats bank, but in anything head to head, anything with a playoff scenario or points league, no thank you.
Yeah, steering clear. That's no Royce Lewis, former number 1 overall pick of the Twins in 2017. My favorite Royce Lewis stat, and this is a super hating on him stat. So he was again drafted 8 years ago, number 1 overall. There's 162 games in a Major League Baseball season, as we all know. He has played 158 career games. So he was drafted 8 years ago. He hasn't played a full season yet. There's that.
Wow.
He and then he totally cratered in the second half last year.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're aware, but I'll pull up the split real quick. But
I know it was bad. Was there a reason for it, or like did it? I mean, I'm assuming there was some kind of injury, but he played through
it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough under the hood. We'd have to get much respected Aaron Gleeman from The Athletic, who is a huge Twins fan. I'm sure he could walk us through it if there was, some sort of whatever. But in the second half of last year, he hit 207 and socked a whopping 6 home runs in 58 games.
Yeah.
So actually he was healthy and was terrible.
He played anyway,
right, but played super badly.
It's just so striking the difference between
so
it's tough.
Honestly, Rich, you and I are fond of using the term roster bomb. And in other words, a player that you just can't bring yourself to drop. And our friend of the show, Sean Fenty, has rostering a roster bomb right now that he just can't bring himself to drop Bobby Miller, which is a conversation that we can have. But Bobby Miller, who's not even pitching all that well at AAA, but he just can't give up on the promise. And our league is super deep, but whatever. But anyway,
it's a sunk cost fallacy there,
right? So yes, exactly. But Royce Lewis, just what are we doing here? Like he never plays, and then the last second half of last year and first half, it's only been a half dozen games or whatever. He's been atrocious. So I would I don't know if you can get anything for him in trade, probably not, but I would pick up, I don't even know, like I'd pick up like Santiago Espinal for this guy in a deep enough league, at least he's gonna play.
Yeah, put up some hits maybe.
So that was some fun hate. That was the hating on Royce Lewis portion of the program. Rich, any closing thoughts or anything else?
No, this is fun. I like the off the cuff conversation.
I kind of liked not having the prep, having to do it on the fly. That was good.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that'll bring it into this week's show. We appreciate it. Again, if you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify, please like and follow. It helps us to get more audience, which we appreciate. If you're watching on YouTube, we're sorry we're so ugly, but we appreciate you joining us nevertheless. And same thing, follow and subscribe on the on the Fantasy Six Pack channel. So thanks so much. Y'all have a great day.